What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Dr. Vincent Esposito, and today we are going to be making a lentil shepherd's pie. Now, it's the middle of the winter here. I know comfort foods are kind of in, but we could always put kind of healthier spins on them. So we're gonna make a plant-based shepherd's pie today. So instead of obviously adding ground beef, we're using a mixture of lentils and mushrooms and tomatoes and stuff. And again, the goal of this recipe portion of the channel is to just simply show you can make awesome food that tastes great using mostly plants. But before we get to it, and we'll get to it really quick, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I'm coming out with videos twice a week, everything health, nutrition, wellness, longevity, and now healthy recipes. These seem to be a hit, so I'm going to keep on doing these. But without further ado, let's hop right into making this lentil sweet potato shepherd's pie.
Okay, so for our filling, you see we have a lot of ingredients here and we'll go over them. So to start, we're going to chop up about 3 cups worth of button mushrooms. You could use any ones you want. We're going to have 2 cups of lentils. Any type will work. As you notice in the video later on, I actually have 2 different types of lentils. I have French lentils and green lentils. Some garlic, onion, our powder mixture, our spice mixture in the middle. You can play around with that depending on what you want. I got some tomatoes, I got carrots, tamari, scallions separated, and white wine because I did not have red. If I were to do this again, I would use red wine 100% of the time. So you see, into the pan, into the pot, we add some oil. We're gonna add our onion, and we're gonna saute that with some garlic in there. We're gonna do that on some medium heat, and we're also gonna add those light green and white parts of our scallion. And we're gonna give that a mix, and we're gonna saute it down for about 4 or 5 minutes. We're gonna stir it occasionally so those onions are softened. And then we're gonna add our carrots, and we're kind of just gonna repeat that process until they're cooked down a little bit. So another 3 to 5 minutes. Then we are going to add our mushrooms, and it looks like a lot of mushrooms here, guys, but as you'll see, they really melt as it goes along. You'll see how that pot is almost probably more than halfway full at that point. But as you're cooking, you'll notice they're gonna cook down a ton, and then once that water is kind of cooked off, that's when you add your wine. And you're gonna wanna raise the heat high so some of that alcohol gets burned off. And then once that's burned off, we're gonna go in with our tomatoes. We're gonna go in with our lentils, and then we're gonna go in with our veggie stock. Now you can use veggie stock or water. It's up to you. Generally when you make lentils, you're looking for a 2-to-1 ratio. So twice as much water to lentils. And that's important to know. We're gonna add our tamari. We're gonna add our spices too. And we're gonna give that a mix. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and then we're gonna set it aside. Now note here, you'll notice how this pot's full. Use a bigger pot than I did. Don't make the same mistake I did. Use a bigger pot so you have some space to play with. Now have some water that's warm here. We'll put our potatoes in. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and then we're gonna cook those potatoes down until they are fork tender. Now our water's finally boiling, our mixture's finally boiling. We're gonna cover it and reduce the heat to a simmer. And then we're gonna go back to our potatoes. And look, our potatoes fall apart on a fork. That's what we're looking for. So we're gonna get rid of those, and we're going to strain those off. Now we're gonna make our mash. So we start mashing our potatoes, and we're gonna add our oat milk. And we're also gonna add a pinch of salt and about a teaspoon or a tablespoon of cinnamon. We're gonna mix that all in our bowl here as we're mashing, and you wanna mash it through so you're getting a nice kind of even texture throughout. That's really key when it comes to the mashed potatoes. You could add salt as needed, but again, this is going to be the top of our shepherd's pie, so we really don't want to overdo it with the salt, especially in the potatoes, and the filling is going to be saltier too. So now that our potatoes are done, guess what? Our lentils are about done too. Almost all that liquid's burned off. Again, I used white wine. I suggest using red. So now that we have all our components done, we're going to start lining our trays. So you want to have some sort of non-stick. You want some baking trays. I'm using Pyrex dishes here. I'm doing a bunch of smaller ones because I didn't have enough for a big tray, and I also knew I was going to end up saving some, so doing it in smaller batches is great. again, another reason why this is a great meal to prep ahead of time. And not only that, you could batch cook it and freeze it for maybe a day you might not be here. So 15 minutes, they come out. Look how nice and kind of the browned edges are, and they're just wonderfully cooked. We're gonna plate a piece for ourselves here, if I can get it out. Oh, there we go. It might have broken a little bit, but you know, that's on me. We're gonna have those scallion greens, and we're also gonna add some parsley to that mixture to finish, and then we have our meal.
Okay, so here we are, the moment of truth. Let's give it a shot. So overall here, actually came out really good. The sweet potatoes are really on point with a little bit of salt, and that cinnamon really comes through. As for the lentil stuffing, could have used maybe a little bit more salt or tamari. It does have a nice meaty texture due to all those chopped mushrooms, and that's the really nice part. If you're going plant-based, if you want that meaty type texture, get more mushrooms in there. They really add that kind of texture that you're looking for. The herbs on top are really nice. They bring kind of a little bit of a brightness, and the lentils are pretty well cooked. All in all, it just probably needs a little bit more salt, but it does have a little bit of that meaty flavor. I think if I used a red wine instead of a white wine, that would have enriched it a little more, almost to give it more of like a meaty type taste. But overall, for the first time making this is well worth it and definitely worth giving a shot at home. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. I'm coming out with videos twice a week, everything health, nutrition, wellness, longevity, and plant-based recipes that anyone can make at home, show you step by step. And until next time, guys, take care.